Welcome to the channel. My goal here is simple: to defend the Christian faith and lead people to the way of everlasting life in Jesus Christ. As the Bible says in Romans chapter 10 verses 9, if you declare with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. And that brings us to our video today, where we are applying the law of excluded middle to test the logical consistency of a specific hypothetical individual who claims the label atheist while holding a deistic worldview. Our hypothetical person fully accepts the metaphysical core of deism. They agree that reality is ultimately grounded in an immaterial, uncaused, necessary origin, the impersonal first cause. Crucially, they recognize this ultimate reality is the origin and grounding for existence, but they cling to the sociological label of atheist. The potential contradiction here is this: if your stated belief affirms the existence of an immaterial, uncaused, ultimate reality, can you still logically and coherently define yourself with the label that means without ultimate reality? Premise 1. The label. The individual chooses the label Naturalistic Atheist to describe their worldview. Premise 2. Label's definition. The label Naturalistic Atheist is logically defined as the denial of an ultimate immaterial reality. Premise 3. The belief. The individual fully affirms the deistic framework, including its ultimate metaphysical commitments. Premise 4. Belief's definition. The deistic framework is logically defined as the affirmation of an ultimate immaterial reality. Conclusion. Therefore, the individual's chosen label, premise 2, is the direct logical negation of their affirmed belief. Premise 4. Justification for premise 1. This is a stipulation of the hypothetical used to focus the argument. It represents a common sociological reality where the term atheist is chosen to signal rejection of organized personal religion, the intervening God, even if the person holds a fundamentally theistic belief about the ultimate reality. Justification for premise 2. Atheism means the denial of a God, and naturalism asserts that all reality is physical and material. Therefore, the combination of the terms logically demands the denial of an ultimate and material reality that is uncaused and necessary. Justification for premise 3. This is a stipulation of the hypothetical used to begin the logical test, trying to account for the objective non-material nature of logic and reason without appealing to a chaotic materialistic origin. Justification for premise 4. Deism's core idea is that God is the first cause of the universe, the watchmaker. By calling this being the first cause, we are stating that it is uncaused and necessary. Furthermore, by defining it as the source of the universe, it must be immaterial. It cannot be made of the matter it caused. Therefore, deism is, by its simplest definition, the affirmation of an ultimate uncaused non-material reality. We will argue that by adapting the content of theism but insisting on the label of atheism, they are engaging in a logical contradiction that serves only rhetorical purposes. So, let's return to the specific group of people who we have been discussing. Those hypothetical people who label themselves as atheists but do not deny that reality has a cause grounded in logic and reason. Their position is a logical paradox. They believe they are an atheist because they are denying God only in a specific form, the personal, intervening God of traditional religion. Premise 1. A person's worldview is defined by the sum of their affirmations about reality. Premise 2. Our hypothetical person affirms the existence of an ultimate, uncaused, immaterial reality. Premise 3. The label atheist is defined by the denial of an ultimate, uncaused, immaterial reality. Premise 4. Our hypothetical person's only denial is of a specific intervening personal God, a subset of the ultimate reality they have already affirmed. Conclusion. Therefore, their position is a logical paradox. Their broad affirmation of an ultimate reality directly contradicts their narrow denial of only one specific aspect of it. Justification for premise 1. This premise is the condition of the test itself. We must presuppose this choice of label to analyze the resulting logical inconsistency. Without this starting choice, the use of the label "the central contradiction" posed by the video does not exist. Justification for premise 2. This premise must be accepted because the term naturalism is defined as the claim that matter is the only ultimate reality. Therefore, the label itself must logically affirm that anything immaterial or ultimate is excluded from existence. Justification for premise 3. This is the second condition of the test. We must presuppose the individual has made the specific non-material affirmation so we can examine the consistency of their label choice. This belief represents the minimal, non-material ultimate account needed to ground logic and reason, which is the concession being tested. Justification for premise 4. This definition must be accepted because it is derived from the essential philosophical terms. The first cause is inherently uncaused, making it ultimate, and the creator is not made of the matter it created, making it immaterial. This affirmation sets the non-negotiable boundary for a position that is not naturalistic. But at the same time, they are unknowingly accepting God in another, more fundamental form, the reality they describe. The one they claim is the ultimate grounding for everything possesses the exact same metaphysical attributes of the deistic God. Premise 1. Our hypothetical person affirms that their ultimate grounding for reality is immaterial, uncaused, and necessary. Premise 2. The deistic God is defined by these exact same metaphysical attributes: immaterial, uncaused, and necessary. Conclusion. Therefore, the reality they are describing, by its very definition, is the deistic God. Justification for premise 1. The ultimate grounding for logic and reason must be immaterial. Logic is the absolute truth, not physical, and it's uncaused / necessary. Logic must be stable and timeless, not contingent on or created by the universe. The individual must accept these three attributes to avoid the absurdity of a chaotic, shifting logic. Justification for premise 2. For the deistic God to be the first cause of the entire universe, it is logically required to be uncaused. It has no beginning, and necessary, it must exist for reality to exist. Furthermore, because this God created all matter, it must exist outside of and prior to matter, making it fundamentally immaterial. Because this cause possesses these essential attributes, they are, by the very definition of the term, a theist. They have merely chosen to call the ultimate reality logic instead of God. Premise 1. The ultimate reality affirmed by the individual, immaterial, uncaused, necessary, is logically identical to the deistic God. Premise 2. The term theist is defined as the affirmation of the existence of any ultimate, immaterial reality. Premise 3. The name given to an entity, logic versus God, does not change its essential metaphysical attributes. Conclusion. Therefore, the individual has met the full conditions for theism and is, by definition, a theist. Justification for premise 1. This premise is true by deduction from the previous segment. We established that the attributes required for the grounding of objective logic are the exact same attributes that define the deistic God. The two descriptions are metaphysically identical. Justification for premise 2. This is the minimal, non-negotiable definition of the term. If a worldview affirms that reality is ultimately grounded in something non-material and uncreated, it has crossed the fundamental line into theism. Any other definition is an arbitrary cultural or religious subcategory. Justification for premise 3. This is based on the law of identity, where A equals A. If an entity possesses the attributes of being immaterial, uncaused, and necessary, renaming it logic does not subtract those attributes. The name is a rhetorical choice. The attributes are the philosophical reality. The law of excluded middle is unambiguous here. Your belief either affirms an ultimate immaterial reality or does not. If your belief affirms it, even in its most impersonal logical form, you are not an atheist in any logical sense of the word. Premise 1. The law of excluded middle dictates that a worldview must either affirm the existence of an ultimate immaterial reality, P, or deny it not P. Premise 2. The concession. The hypothetical individual's belief, even in its own impersonal form, falls unambiguously into the affirmative category P. Premise 3. Mutual exclusion. The affirmative category P, the denial not P, are logically and strictly mutually exclusive. Conclusion. Therefore, the individual's belief is logically excluded from the denial category not P, meaning they are not an atheist. Unproven axiom for premise 1. Unproven axiom. This premise is based on the law of the excluded middle itself, a fundamental rule of logic that must be accepted without proof for any rational discussion to proceed. Justification for premise 2. The evidence for this premise is the individual's concession of three attributes: immaterial, uncaused, and necessary. These three attributes are the non-negotiable, essential to the definition of the affirmative category P. Having conceded the definition, they have conceded the category. Unproven axiom for premise 3. This premise is based on the law of non-contradiction. A position cannot be both true and false at the same time. Like the law of excluded middle, it is a foundational rule of thought and is unproven by definition.